Hi, I've got a tutorial coming up just in a few seconds on how to make a birthday balloon, a foil balloon, a mylar balloon, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be using an extruded circle, and then we're going to be using a cloth tag and something called it sounds great, doesn't it? So that's coming up in this tutorial right now. Right, inside of Cinema 4D, let's make this mylar balloon. So we start off with a circle, and then we hold the Alt key down and click on extrude. Okay, so it extrudes the shape out. We then want to add, under object, offset 200. Let's also turn on ground shading lines, and if we go to caps, we want to change the caps type here to regular grid, and then we want to make it quad dominant, and then the size we put in at 8 centimeters. We now go to the circle and we change the intermediate points to subdivided, and then we change the maximum length to 8 and the angle to 90. Okay, so we get this very uniform look to it. We now want to click on both of these and either C on the keyboard or this icon here will make it editable. We can now get rid of all these pieces here, these markers, and now we can press U and L on the keyboard and go into polygon mode, and then we can select the edge. This UL is an edge selection tool. Once it's selected, we can right click on extrude and we can add a cloth tag. We're going to make this balloon from a cloth tag. Right, when that's selected, we go on to dresser, and then we set the seam polys, so it gives you this yellow cross here. We change the width in here to 1, and then we click on this Dressomatic button, and it pulls it in like a nice little pillowy sort of cushion thing, but this is obviously going to be the balloon when we have the texture on it. If we now just take a subdivision surface here, and then we drop the extrude into that will smooth it all out. Now, while this seam is still selected on the edge here, we are going to go up to select, and we're going to store that selection. Okay, so we've got a little tag now of a polygon selection tag. Okay, we're also now going to increase the width of this because we want to add something called a vertex map onto this to control extra creases around the edge of this balloon. The way we do that is we click U and then Y to grow selection, and then we do that twice, so we get that kind of amount. Now we go to select and go to set vertex weight, and then we put 100% in the value and press OK, so we get that shape. We then go to the front, and we're going to do a bit of painting now. We're going to paint on where we want these extra creases to be. So what we do is we double click on the vertex map. It brings up the paint tool. We go to options, and then we go to mode and go to add, then back to painting. And then we need to uncheck this visible only because we want to paint on both sides. We now go around the edge manually, just add in some kind of bigger bits and smaller bits, and this is where the extra creases will be. Okay, so we want to put some in a bit smaller, and this, it's just where it's going to affect it on the balloon. So this can be altered at any time, so if you make a mistake, don't worry, we can delete it, we can put it on again, but just give it a bit of random kind of look. Now we go back to options, and we change the mode now to smooth, back to painting, and then we go over this and we blur all this out. All right, so there's no obvious hard edges anywhere, just blur the thing right out like this. Just paint over the whole thing. It's a bit like just getting like a sponge, isn't it, on painting, and just sort of blurring it all out. Similar effect you get in Photoshop. So that's the kind of thing we're looking for, just a nice blurred edge. Okay, when we've got that, we want to create a texture now. So we go to the plus here on the textures, and we're just going to make one by using the reflectance channel. So we go to reflectance, we add a Beckman. That's about the right settings, maximum reflection, little bit of specular, leave the bump up, and a little bit of roughness. Okay, now to get the colour, we want to go to this layer colour here and click on it, and then we'll give it a bit of a purpley pink colour, and that looks fine. So if we now just take the global specular brightness out a little bit, and then we go to basic, and we want to add a bump channel. Okay, and under the bump channel we want to go to texture here, and we want to add a layer. Click on layer, and then the shader we want to add noise, not gradient, sorry, we want to add noise, hit the wrong one. Alright, so now we click on noise, and we change the noise to dense. We take the global scale down to 50% and the relative scale on the Y to 1500. We also want to look at this space here where it says texture and change that to UV 2D, so it gives you this different pattern, and it will apply it onto here exactly how we want it. Right, so now we just go back, and now we need to add another shader in here to use this vertex map. So we go on to effects, we go down to vertex map, click on that. Now for this to work, we need to drag the vertex map underneath the noise, and we need to change the normal to layer mask. Okay, now we need to apply this texture onto our extrude, or let's call that balloon actually, just so we don't keep calling it that. So that's on the balloon. Right, so the texture's on there, and as you can see, it has given it this nice crease, but it's not giving it in the right direction. We want it to come in from the edges and then finish up with hardly any in the center, because it's a stretch shape, isn't it? So you get a lot more creasing on the edges. Now the way we do that is we click on our texture, and under projection we want to change that to spherical. Okay, now don't worry about the funny shape at the moment, we're going to change that now. Now it's on that, we go up to this texture mode here, and then we go to rotate, and then we constrain with shift, and we rotate the front round to 90 degrees until it's there. Okay, so you get this lines all coming out into the middle, which is looking a bit more like you'd expect, but it's still not the effect we're after. So when we get to there, we go back to texture, and then we want to change the length U, and then just bring that down, and what it will do is it will increase the amount of creases around the edges. Okay, so just dial that back to around about 20%. Now I'm just thinking, now what we do now is we go, let's just have a quick render and see where we are with this. Right, what we need to do is just put in a physical sky, because it just gives it a bit of light to this. Right, so at the moment it's not using the vertex map because it's showing all the creases. So we need that vertex map to be used so it only shows you the mask. Okay, so we need to turn the mask on. So if we go to our texture and we double click and we go to bump and layer, and we have layer mask, but yeah, and we need to add it in here. Sorry, I was just looking at why it didn't work. We haven't added the vertex map itself into here. Okay, so we need to drop that into there, look. And then when we render, you'll get that, which is looking okay. We've got one more step to do. So if we go back to the balloon and we click on this edge, this polygon tag that we created earlier, and then we press select, and then we go to the polygon mode here. We want to now do M and S to give us the bevel, right? And we're going to add under tool option, we're going to do an offset of 1, and we're going to do a poly extrude here of 3.5. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to just extrude that piece out, and it'll look like the seam on the edge of it. You know, you've got this very thin piece where it's been welded together. So that's essentially how you do a Mylar balloon. If you enjoyed that tutorial on making that lovely balloon, that lovely foil balloon, then please give Mike a like, hit the button below please, and I will continue making these videos. And yeah, why not? Please hit the like button though, it makes this channel keep going. A little bit of love from you, and then I will make as many videos as I can and keep putting them out there. That's all what it's about, isn't it? Having a bit of community spirit. So yeah, my name's Mike, so please give Mike a like. I think that'll work. It's great that my name's Mike and like, that's gonna work. Yeah, give Mike a like. See you soon, bye for now.